Hello. Welcome everyone back to the CZ Media Podcast. I am back. It's hard to get these shows scheduled especially now during the holidays when there's just so much going on. But we're back, and before we start, I want to remind everyone to follow us. You can find me wherever you listen to podcasts. What's your favorite podcast app?
Apple Music, just on Apple Music.
And Apple
app
there, yeah.
That's my go-to.
Apple. I'm on Apple. I'm on Spotify. I am on iHeart Radio, and I think Stitcher is gone.
Stitcher, never heard that one before.
Yeah, they got bought out, and they are something else now. But I haven't ported over to be on that. But yep, check us out on your favorite podcasting app, and then follow us on YouTube. You can see my beautiful face, and you can see Jaidan's handsome face.
Appreciate it.
On YouTube. And then, of course, all the other socials. And then don't forget to check out the sponsors, Rancho Bravo Tacos. Do you like tacos?
I love tacos.
Who doesn't love tacos?
That's not right. It's not like
I
tacos.
have yet to ask this question, and then someone say no.
It's a staple, man. You know that.
I love tacos. Their birria tacos are great, which is the slow-cooked beef.
Of course.
With some cheese.
Cultured. I'm a little cultured, yeah.
And then now that it's getting chilly outside, the pozole is really good.
What's that?
So it is. It's almost like birria, but instead of the beef being shredded, they're just chunks of beef or chunks of chicken.
Okay.
And then in a stew.
Like soup
it's a
base,
stew.
like a soup base.
It's a stew. The red one is beef. The green one is pork, I believe. So there's two different ones. Both are delicious. You can get some fried cheese to go with it, some tortillas, some salt, some lime.
Is it served like as like a taco? Or is it served
in a bowl?
soup? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, full soup. Gotcha.
Yep. It is definitely a in a bowl.
Sounds tasty. Might have to try that out.
Yeah. Them. And then I need to get back on this, but definitely check out the Sneakers Friend. I started a sneaker cleaner brand a year ago. Haven't worked on it as much as I would have liked.
You're spread thin, man. You're into everything,
man. Well, I probably need to focus.
Yeah,
I probably need to focus because I was really passionate about sneakers for a really, really long time, and then I decided to start a sneaker cleaner brand. So I did all of the testing. I tested about.
It's like an actual product.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Oh, it's actually right
here. And then I tested a bunch of compounds, worked with the manufacturer, and then the one that I finally went with, I used on my Travis Jordan 1 highs. And if you're a sneakerhead,
you got those ones. I love Travis Scott, so I know about those ones.
Yeah. So they're $2,200.
Yeah.
So I tested them. They look great. It did fantastic, and I should really be pushing it more. It's a shame that I haven't. But yep, check them out, thesneakersfriend.com. If there's a discount code. Is it I forgot what the discount code is. Well, message me and I'll give you a discount code. All right, enough of all this. Enough of all this stuff. But Jaidan, cheers.
Cheers.
You have an empty glass, so we have to.
It's bad luck, I think.
Here, I'll hand it to you.
Gotcha. Which over here.
So that way you don't accuse me of over pouring.
No such thing. Do the same thing at the winery.
I'm a heavy pourer.
Oh, only way to be.
There you go. Jaidan, cheers.
Cheers.
Jordan McKenzie.
Appreciate you.
Jaidan McKenzie. Called you Jordan already.
Hey, you're not the first one to do that. So,
so Jaidan works at one of our favorite tasting rooms. That's where we met.
Yes, sir.
And we've bonded over movies. So we've had enough conversations about movies and shows and, hey, man, you should watch this, you should watch that I thought, you know what? We just need to record something because
sit down and talk about it. Yeah.
I want to do more of these current pop culture, what's out there now shows. And I thought this would be a fantastic show where, just two dudes to nerd out over movies for a little bit.
I love it.
So thank you again for coming.
Of course.
And recording. So we'll get to the movie that
we talked about. Yeah.
We'll get to the movie that pushed me to say, all right, Jaidan, you need to come over and talk about this. But what are the types of movies that you like? Like, what's your go-to movie?
Honestly, like I'm the kind of guy to watch a lot of things. I've watched a lot of things that I don't like. I'm a person that starts a movie and has to finish it. This is like it's kind of a good thing and also a bad thing.
You've committed.
Because, yeah, exactly. And you know, me and my lady at home, a lot of the times before bed, we'll start a movie, and the way that I know if I really like it or not is if I fall asleep or not.
Okay.
And it's usually when I'm staying past up, like way past my bedtime, when I know that like this is the one I need to talk to people about. This is the one that I actually enjoy. But it can literally be anything. You know, I watched, you know, a lot of animation, a lot of horror movies, a lot of drama movies, a lot of all kinds of things in that sense. But you know, recently I've been probably the past year I've been hooked on like A24 movies, that film company. Yeah, when I started watching them, I was like, oh man, these are hit after hit after hit. And then I'm starting to get to the point where now it's kind of hit or miss with those movies.
Yeah.
I watched a weird one the other night. This is The Last Black Man The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Have you seen that one yet?
That's a current movie?
It came out 2022.
Okay,
so
no, I've not heard about that.
It's so it's kind of a piece about the gentrification of San Francisco going on. But
I'll just ask you to push this a little bit further in.
Gotcha.
Yep, you can go ahead.
And you know, it was good in the sense that it was beautifully filmed. Like it's the colors, the lighting of it, and everything is like is one of I'd say the top 5 movies I've seen with the way that it looks.
Yeah, it's shot in San Francisco, I'm assuming.
In San Francisco too as well. The main actor, who was also the writer of the show, was his very first time ever acting too as well, and he killed the role, like absolutely killed the role. The plot though, it seemed like it was too much on the plot. Like it was really easy to follow, but at a certain point, I was like, you know, near the end, I'm like, what is the message here? Because it started out, it started out talking about, you know, these huge things like that are happening here in front of us. Like even here in Seattle, we're seeing it. Like there's a lot of places that are being bought out, and a lot of families getting moved out and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the movie started out about those things, and then near the end of it, I just couldn't understand it at that point. So
it got a little too in the weeds.
Yeah, it was good though, in the sense that I don't even know how to explain it the right way what I'm trying to say, but it's a little bit too deep for at least my understanding. I'm sure there's people out there who love it. I'm not hating on the movie whatsoever, but it was a bit too much for me to think about in that sense. Maybe
not to put words in your mouth, but maybe it took itself a little too seriously.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know, I can sense that when movies take themselves a little too seriously, and it's really off-putting, mostly because, oh, you know what? I have a great example of that. Oh, this Australian movie that just came out where everyone loved, about the hand that is possessed.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't seen it though.
Okay.
I haven't seen it though. Still need to watch that one though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't do a. Okay, I can't.
You can spoil it.
You
can spoil it. It's all right.
But that one to me was one where, okay, you took yourself a little too seriously, and then when I saw an interview with the directors, because I think there's 2 of them, I just said to myself, okay, this totally makes sense. It totally makes sense to me.
When you see the guys who did it, you're like, okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Because this isn't a spoiler, but I didn't like that movie, and the film group that I'm in, they disagreed with me very aggressively for not liking it. And I will defend my position on why I didn't like it.
You know, it's art, and art is up for, you know, being judged. You know, that's the thing. There's a lot of movies like that though. Like there was one that I watched the day. It was a movie. It was done by BET, which is, you know, one thing that BET in general is like, don't make the best movies in general. I love my black folks out there, but yeah, it was this movie. It was like called Karen, right? It was called Karen.
Yeah, with Christina Ricci.
Yeah. Have you watched it?
No.
Don't watch it, man.
No.
It starts out like great. You know, the trailer's great. It's like a racist horror movie almost, you know, when they move into this nice neighborhood and they have a really racist neighbor and whatnot. And then like halfway through the movie, man, they just took it like too far, like in the sense of like pushing these things on it. And I just ended up turning it off. Like I was like, you know what, the last 5 minutes, I can live without it at this point. Like it was a little much. And those kind of movies where they just like push that so hard, like it kills me, because I'm like, there's better ways to interpret it, and I want to interpret it myself too at the same way, you know. But
I'm on Facebook. I get these posts. This might be my problem, is that I try to avoid Facebook. But I don't have any friends on Facebook.
Right.
I have maybe 5.
Yeah.
So all of the feed is just suggested to me. And since I do spend time looking at film shorts, these accounts that all they do is post shorts, which is infuriating because they post some of it and then the very end of it they'll cut off, and then you have to. I mean, it's just clickbait, right?
It's up
all
for
they want
interpretation after that. Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of these, and I was actually talking to Lori about this today, where I'm assuming these are movies on Tubi. Do you listen to do you watch Tubi?
I've seen some Tubi movies. I've seen a couple of Tubi movies that I've liked. There's a couple that I like though. Yeah.
I mean, Tubi has some some good movies, but then man, I feel confident that if I were to make a film with just me, my camera, and a couple actors, I could get it. Approved.
Front page for sure.
But there's these movies on Tubi where, like the one that I saw today, and they're all race based. Like all of these are race based. But the one that I saw today was, I didn't get context, so I don't know why. But it was these 2 black guys doing boxing mitts, in a parking lot somewhere, and then this white woman came up and says, "Who are you guys? Should you guys be here? I don't think that you guys should be here."
Sounds like a Tubi movie. Yep. Sounds like a Tubi movie.
And then the one guy comes up and he goes, "Ma'am, we're just getting a workout in. We're only going to be here for a few minutes. Thank you
Never
for
would
your
happen in real life. Yeah. No 2 grown men would fight in public like that. It's not a workout. Yeah.
But they had gloves and mitts and everything. So it was like a real, and then she just kept on. She said, "Well, I think you guys are trespassing. You need to leave." And then the guy came back and said, "We're being patient with you, but we're trying to get a workout in. Could you please just, let us be?" And he's like, "If you don't leave right now, if you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police."
Yep.
And then the guy goes, "Ma'am, I can save you the call. I'm a police officer."
Yep. Every Tubi movie I've seen, it always ends up like that, where I feel like they're preying on like just like young and upcoming actors who are like, "Hey, the script's great," and then it just ends up awful. It's horribly shot on like an iPhone, like it looks like almost.
It's just nuts. I was telling Lori, it's like if I were an actor and I read this, there is absolutely no way I would do this.
I don't care how much I want to be famous. I'm just not
for
going to do
both.
it. Yeah.
For both the non-white roles and the white roles, they're both atrocious. Like, why would you want to put your name?
It's never like realistic to a point where like what racism actually is in the real world.
No.
It's always just like over exaggerated, like what you see on social media. It's like that times 10, and it's just ridiculous.
On both sides, it's like they do monologues on both sides. The white Karen, she'll say, "This is a secure neighborhood, and I've never seen you here, and that must mean that you shouldn't be here." And then, but very like in that tone.
The entire movie Karen I just told you about is literally
it's
that.
like that.
It's literally that. It's like word for word, like, oh, like slavery was so long ago. It's just like all of these like normal, really, really like normal. Just I don't know. Just one huge cliche of like what racism is. I'm like, that's not how it is.
I don't,
I'm like,
I mean, but do you? I mean, what do you think the writers and the directors? What do you think they're trying to do? Do you think they're trying to prove a point? Do you think they're trying to make things better?
I think they're trying to sell. That's why
whom?
The younger audience, because we watch these videos on like all over social media with these things where these things are happening, or we have this idea in our head of what like racism is. But I'm like, the worst kind of racism is one that you don't know what's racist right away. Like you find out about it later. But they take the ones where it's like, oh, this is your stereotypical Karen. We're gonna put her here, and these are the words that she's gonna say that everybody knows. Like it's like these.
Like just like you said before, the cliche things that someone would say.
That's all that is. Like especially with the Tubi movies, they're just like they really are not able to write a script with like real world experiences.
I get angry when I see those on 2 fronts. The first front is I get angry because I think, who is funding this? They probably spent on the generous end, they probably have 100, maybe 200 grand to make this movie. So someone funded this. And then the other thing that gets me angry is that I have very talented friends. One of them is an extremely talented screenwriter who if we could raise 200 grand, we could make a great movie.
I'll tell you who it is funding them. It's their parents. That's literally what it is.
You think so?
I guarantee you, it's just a couple of trust fund babies, that really didn't want to go to mommy and daddy's business and they want to go to film school. They're like, hey, I'm gonna make this movie. Like, I need so and so. And they did so, and then it ends up on Tubi. It's literally, I guarantee that's what it is.
Yeah. So do you think it's like some NYU film school student who's like, this is my first one? And
I would believe it would be. I've seen probably one good Tubi movie ever, and it's just like the rest of them are just like, it's thrown together. Like the scripts are awful, the filming's awful. Like they don't know what they're doing, but they're trying too hard. And that, like we talked about earlier, it's just like it's the trying too hard to do these things.
Right.
It's just it's not good film in my opinion. Like,
because it seems to me,
yeah,
if someone were to give us, well, I'll just say me, I will not incorporate my friends into this. If someone were to give me, let's just say 20 grand to make a movie, I would know that there's going to be shortcomings, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not going to be able to make this great thing. Then the compensation has to be in the most detailed care with the script of how it's written, of how it's delivered. And you know, having said that, then it just needs to be written, rewritten, and then rewritten.
There's good movies with really low scripts. Like, that's the thing. It's like it's in the writing is 90% of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's 90% of a movie. What makes it good is how good it is written, and that's why you see like these small films that are like amazing, like, that are winning awards and doing all these things where it's like they didn't have the things to do it with, but it ends up great in a sense. It's like, that's the thing. It's all art in that sense, and what you're putting out, it doesn't need all the bells and whistles of things. What you're writing and coming out of your mind, that's what makes it great, in my opinion. But it's just like, that's the way that I see it always. And there's people like, I don't know, the entire network of what's the one that does like a Green Arrow and whatnot, that network on TV.
Oh, the WB.
Yeah, WB. Like, it's a lot of their shows, like you watch them and it's like,
are they still around?
Yeah. I think now it's called the CW. CW.
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
The CW.
CW.
Yeah.
Right.
And you watch those shows and it looks cool. Like, there's great CGI on them sometimes. There's huge actors on them sometimes, and then you're like, but the script is literally like it's they spent about 20 minutes on it at lunch break and they called it good.
Yeah,
they didn't read it twice.
At some point, I would assume that, you know what, I'm not qualified to really talk. Well, first, I didn't even know CW was still around.
Oh, they're going strong somehow. I don't
really watch TV, so I don't know. The last thing that I've heard of the CW was, I don't know, the Arrow. Yeah, you just said Arrow.
It was
right?
the Arrow and the Flash is the two big ones that they've had.
But Arrow is older, I believe.
I think it ended a few years ago. I started watching it when I was a kid when they had a Smallville on it.
Right.
And that's how I got hooked on it. And then I stopped watching it probably like early high school because I was like, oh, this is awful now. Like, I can't go on with this. Like,
you know, those. Yeah, I'm curious of what what regular show, like let's say someone who makes shows for HBO, what they think about those CW, because I think they're just churning them out. It's just a factory at that point.
And that's what I think it is to like try to keep those things going, keep those networks going. And I'm sure that like they are having a huge bankroll on the backside because those shows can't be making so much. Like,
no,
they can't be that many people watching it. Like, that's
and then at the same token, those actors aren't making a ton. Like, they're low. They're low to produce. There's some cost a lot.
Good name actors on there, but it's like, I don't know how they're spending all that time doing those movies or like those shows in those movies, but then also doing like huge stuff and being like in like blockbusters and whatnot. But
you remind me of an interview that I saw with Terrence Howard. Man, he's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is. I am disappointed that he is not a bigger star than what he is. Some people might say that he blew it with Iron Man.
I like the first Iron Man and Iron Man 2. I liked a lot. I think that was a good role for him as War Machine in that. But
it's so some people might say he blew it for not continuing with that. But I was listening to an interview that he did where he said that for Hustle and Flow, he only made 26 grand. Did you see this interview?
No.
He said for that movie, he only received $26,000 to make that movie. And then on top of that, when they released the soundtrack, they credited all of those shows to his actor, to his character, to DJ.
Not to Terrence Howard.
Not
That's
to him.
Weird.
Which
man.
then he explained that they didn't have to pay him royalties.
That makes sense. Because wasn't it Juicy J that wrote a lot of music for that?
Oh,
movie,
I thought it was, I don't know.
He won an Oscar for that. It was Juicy J.
Yeah,
and,
that song did.
Project Pat, they won an Oscar for that. The first Oscar ever. Yeah.
Who's that band that did? I thought it was another group.
I'm so bad. I listen to UGK all the time. I should know this. It's not UGK. 36 Mafia.
Yeah.
36
Mafia.
Yeah. I should know that.
But the vocals are him.
Yeah.
So he said that in an interview. He said they credited the vocals to DJ, which the
Fictional
producers owned, so they didn't have to pay him. And then he said that he was gonna take them to court because they owe him, 20 years.
Movie's amazing though. Yeah, it's a classic. It is a classic.
Movie is fantastic.
Yeah,
it is such a powerful movie.
To not get royalties off a movie that good is crazy to me. And that it won Oscars for like a rap based movie, like the first ever of its kind.
Yeah,
won Oscars on like the main stage of the world.
So in saying that, in this same interview, he said that actors, they were talking about the SAG strike that just, it just ended a little bit ago, but it went on forever.
What was that all about? I heard about it. I never really read into it at all because I hate like a lot of those things that go on with social media. I tend to avoid those things that go on in the world. I'm bad about that. But
so, and then I did a show. So my boy KL Young, he did a show with me. Actually, it was the last show, and we spoke about the strike for the whole show.
I saw a couple clips of that. I didn't watch the whole thing though.
He was explaining, and he has sort of inside because he still has some. Yeah. He has writer friends that are in the union. He was talking about how the main sticking point was the use of AI. That they didn't want the studios to be able to use AI because then that meant that they wouldn't need writers.
I mean, isn't that kind of just like the way that the world works,
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's you can't tell someone to not use Google.
Yeah.
Which is what it's like to say you can't use AI. I mean, I don't do anything important, but I use AI multiple times a week.
I've used it in the past too. I love ChatGPT.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you know what's a fancy way to say, pay me? And then
and it's it's interesting to me because it's just like, you're working for a company at that point and you're writing these things, yes, and you want job security, but at the same time, like the times are changing, man. Like it's technology and I get that, but I mean, I guess I'm not on the inside of it in that sense, but it's always kind of blown my mind. But I just don't really understand.
And actually, I'm going to jump ahead of you and start opening this one.
Let's go
but no pressure.
No, let's go for it. All the pressure's on.
No pressure. Yeah, the one thing that we did say is that there is no one in America that is going to feel sympathy for anyone in Hollywood.
And that's also what I wanted to say too. But it's it's a sense of like it's art. And art is always going to change for the rest of like that's what human history is in that sense.
Yeah,
if the computer isn't better than you, the computer isn't better than you. There's people who've lost their jobs on the assembly lines. People like it's the way of the world, man. Like,
that's right.
And
so I don't and I don't even understand why. And I know that when I'm going to say this, I'm going to get tons of hate. I don't even understand why writers get royalties on stuff that they did.
Really.
It's hard for me to understand that. And then so I draw a parallel to tech, right? So if you worked, Steve Jobs and Wozniak, they worked for another tech company and had an idea. They had to clear it with that company before they moved forward with their idea, because people who work in tech, when they sign their contracts, anything that person invents or comes up with, it's the IP belongs to the company that employs them.
I don't think I ever thought about it that way. Yeah.
Like the I should be more prepared to say this, but back in the 70s and 80s, there was one company that pretty much came up with everything that we use now, like touchscreens, the mouse. Is it Pac-Bell? Is it HP? It's like that's where Steve Jobs got the idea for the mouse. It's like he toured this company, right? So so if you come up with something and you work for a company,
you're still part of the company. It's their idea.
They're paying you. So, you know, so it's like, it's hard for me to fully comprehend of wanting to get paid for work that I did 10 years ago. It's like, I was a machinist for a really long time. I ran CNC mills and lathes, and the parts that I made are in thousands of earth moving equipment. So like Caterpillar, anytime they do any sort of construction and there needs to be a hydraulic cylinder in there, there's a good chance that I made it. I'm not getting paid for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Even if that,
and you understand that you shouldn't be either. That was your job at the time.
It was like, granted, you know, Caterpillar sold the machine and then when that company then eventually sold that machine to another company, they didn't say, oh, we need to pay back. We need to pay.
Remember the guy who made this. Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't make sense to me.
See, there's like the thing that like, I have a lot of friends that are artists, especially living here in Seattle. And I don't know if it's like narcissistic thinking or what, but like everybody who creates things always thinks like they deserve a certain amount for how good it is. But that's the thing about art is like, you cannot like it. And that person may think it's the best thing ever. And they start to want more and more for what they create.
Right.
And I get that. I totally understand it. Because if you're making something, you want it to be good. But if other people don't see it that way, you know, maybe it's not as crazy as you think it is.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what I'm remembering now? When I brought this up to my boy, he said that the reason that is that started back with Superman, with Schuster, who invented Superman. They invented Joel Schuster. He invented Superman, and then it took off. It got super popular, and he wanted to renegotiate his contract. The company said
after
no,
the fact,
and then he sued. The judge said you can go back in. So that opened the door for royalties and residuals. That's what it was.
Slippery slope. It's a slippery slope there, man.
Yeah. So it's, and I know it's like I've done little posts on this and I get super hated on, but
I mean, it's one thing to talk about it. You know, it's like, at what point do you deserve more for what you created? You know, especially when you're working for like a whole company at that point. You know, it's their idea at that point because you signed that contract. You could have read the contract, you could have read the fine print, but you didn't. You probably didn't. And now you're upset because it's taking off.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you know, have you ever seen the movie Blood In, Blood Out?
No, I don't believe so.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I know my boy Kelly is listening to this and he's going to laugh because I quote this movie as often as I can. But there's this, so Blood In, Blood Out. And if you want to see it, I think it's one of the top 5 movies ever made.
Blood In, Blood Out.
Because it's kind of the Mexican Godfather.
Okay. All right.
With, the story follows 3 cousins.
Yeah.
One of them turns out to be a drug addict. The other one turns out to be a cop, and the other one turns out to be a mafia boss.
Yeah.
But in one of these scenes, they say and this is all East LA, so these are all Chicanos.
Yeah.
So in one of the scenes, they're planning on whether to break a rival gang's window, and then they talk about it, and then Benjamin Bratt. Are you familiar with Benjamin Bratt?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Benjamin Bratt is in this movie.
Okay.
Benjamin Bratt's character goes, "Hey, life's a risk, carnal. Life's a risk."
Iconic. I love it. I'll have to watch that one.
This movie is so quotable. There's a couple t-shirt companies that they just have a bunch of t-shirts.
Have all the shirts. It sounds
actually,
like,
I'm disappointed in myself that I do not own any of these t-shirts, but I'll be remedying that soon. Well, anyway, it's like, I don't get it. I don't understand why, but it is how it is. but I can pretty much confidently say that very, very few people cared about this strike.
I didn't understand it. I just knew that people were mad. But people who are artists, I will say this, and this might get you a little bit of hate for me saying this, but if you're an artist and you are upset about the criticism of the way you're being treated, like concerned about like, you know, payment or whatever, I don't really feel bad for you because it is art and art is up for the interpretation of the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's you should expect those things to happen
Right.
to you. It's not everybody doesn't have to like your things that you make.
No. And actually, some might say, and actually this would be, some might say that if you're able to create something that people like / love, and at the same time people hate,
Yeah.
that's something.
That's more powerful than anything. If you make
Right.
somebody also hate what you're creating, that's way more powerful than anything at all.
Which will bring us to this movie, Soft and Quiet.
Oh, geez. All right. It's time.
So I am curious. I'm curious to know, you recommended this movie to me.
Correct.
And I think you said you have to see it. I think if I recall correctly. I guess my first question is, why did you like this movie so much?
So, prefacing this, I'm going to say that we chose this movie. It was me and my girlfriend. It was like midnight. We were about to go to bed. We just wanted to throw something on in the background while we fell asleep. And, you know, the movie starts playing. And in that first scene where you don't know what the movie's about whatsoever, because you read like the description of it, it doesn't tell you anything about the movie at all.
Did I watch the right one?
About the Nazi ladies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
one. Yeah, about the Nazi ladies. Yeah. So you start the movie and you don't know what the hell the movie's about. You just know that it's this lady's a teacher talking to this kid. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be boring, whatever. And then the part with the pie comes out when it has the logo in it. I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is gonna be a little bit weird here. And then I realized that there was not one cut the entire movie. Did you notice that too?
Yeah. I mean, there was 4, but okay.
Yeah, but was there 4?
I'm being a nerd. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I caught any of them, but it was I like the movie, the message to it where these people are in our society as everyday people. Like that part like was like kind of like the horror scary part that I think about a lot. It reminded me of like a Jordan Peele movie without the black aspect into it, but like completely on the other side of it, in the sense that these things are happening in our everyday society, and it could be like our next door neighbor, but you would never know. And the whole movie, like my heart was just pounding the whole movie. And you know, the acting wasn't 100%. You know, there was a few small plot holes that I didn't like, but like in terms, like it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. And at the end of the movie, when I finished watching, the reason why I liked it the most is I realized I was rooting for them the entire time. And when a movie is able to do that to me, when I'm rooting for the bad guy, that's when I know that I'm like, shit. I'm like, these writers did something the right way. Because I like snapped out of it. I'm like, wait a second. These ladies are racist. So I was like, I shouldn't like them at all. But then like the entire movie, I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Get out of here. But then like it's a movie that I genuinely enjoyed because of the fast pacedness of it. And it made me like the bad guy, which is huge to me in that sense.
So so it drew your attention. It kept your attention. It kept you wanting to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
The decisions that they were making.
Yeah.
And it seems like you really dug the shooting style, the cinematography of it.
I like movies that are one take because it makes me appreciate it a bit more because of how much goes in this, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, like 1917 was another movie like that was all shot in one take, and I was in 2 takes actually. That is right. It was in 2 takes.
Yeah, I think there might have even been more.
Yeah, but
Quentin Tarantino did a whole thing about how brilliant that.
Yeah.
He didn't like it. He didn't like that movie, but he did talk about how it was shot exceptionally well. Yeah, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, and that's makes me like it more because you're putting that much effort into it, and it still turns out good. I'm like, that's because I would mess up like in the second.
Actually, I think, and I'll have to go back and look. I believe that there is an Asian zombie movie that really is one take.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know who Joe Bob is? Joe Bob and the male girl Darcy.
I don't think so. No.
So on Shudder, I mean, if you dig horror movies, I
Yeah.
definitely recommend you subscribe to Shudder.
You check out Shudder.
Although
You told me about that
subscribe to
before.
Shudder on the Shudder website. Don't
Okay.
subscribe to it through Amazon.
Okay.
So subscribe on the actual Shudder website, because then you get to see their live stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Bob Briggs is a critic who has been reviewing and hosting movies for 30 plus years.
Okay.
And he had this long running show on TNT called Monster Vision. And then he's had a couple more. He was in Casino. Do you remember the
Yeah,
movie
I watched
Casino?
Casino. Yeah, of course.
Do you remember the part where Robert De Niro fires the Vegas yokel
Yep.
for letting 4 jackpots go?
Yep.
That's Joe Bob.
Okay. That's
Joe
the
Bob.
guy. All right. Fix the name. All right.
So Joe Bob hosts movies, and what that means is that he plays the movie, but before the movie starts, he talks a little bit about the movie. And then instead of there being commercials, they go back to him, and then he talks about details of production and the writing and the
Trapped in
directing.
the Closet with R. Kelly. Same thing. It's like Trapped in the Closet.
I don't know what that is.
Do you not know what Trapped in the Closet is?
I don't.
Okay. I'll make this quick. Trapped in the Closet by R. Kelly is a musical, right? It's like 18, 20 parts, I think. And it's just about a story about a one-night stand. And for the black
But
community,
what is this, a movie?
it's I would say it's more of a show. I remember when I was a kid, my parents would like have these watch parties at my house, Trapped in the Closet with R. Kelly. And it is
Wait, hold on. Wait. When you were a kid,
yes.
your parents had watch parties.
I have been watching rated R movies since I was like 4 years old.
But
yeah.
your parents had watch parties with something R. Kelly did. How
Yes.
old are you?
Trapped in the Closet. I'm 24 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you didn't know what it was?
No, I didn't realize you were this young.
I usually get like I'm a little bit older, but yeah.
you're
24.
you're a big dude.
24, yeah, man, large man. You know, I speak well. Try my best to come off older, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is bad or not. Yeah, I would pegged you for a little bit older than 24.
Yeah, everybody does. Like it's usually like early 30s typically is what I get. Like
Yeah.
early 30ish, yeah. But no, only 24 years old.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that you thought I was in my 20s, which is
Yeah,
why you
100%. 100%. It's the beer gives it away a little bit, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I'm only 21 years older than you. I mean, that's it.
Not
only
too bad.
21.
Not too
bad. Okay, that's what my stop was, because I thought there's no way that your parents were watching and you were cognizant enough to know that you were watching R. Kelly
Have to
stuff.
watch Trapped in the Closet.
Okay,
Like,
so
I'm telling you,
Trapped in the Closet, you're saying it's a show.
it's a show. It's an 18-part musical. It's all done by R. Kelly. He sings and he does all the parts for all the characters. There's a whole bunch of different actors in it, right? But
Okay.
he's the voice to all the actors there, right? And so he's singing this whole story that goes on for 18 parts. And it starts off as like a one-night stand thing. And it just escalates and escalates.
He's talking about peeing at all?
Not at all. No, he was
was smart about it.
He's behaved to a point in this thing, but there's a lot of laughs to it. You know, I'm not saying whatever R. Kelly did is okay. I'm just saying, you know, he is still an artist, and we still can appreciate his art.
I'm actually, the side note, I can completely separate
that's
artist from the
the
behavior.
way it should be. The way it should be. But
Yeah.
Trapped in the Closet, I think, is one of the better things to come out in the past 25 years in this
Okay.
world.
Okay.
You gotta watch it.
I've never heard of this.
It's super
ever.
hard to find now because once he got arrested, all of this stuff got taken off of like media and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's super hard to find. You probably
sure
have to
it's
go
on
like
YouTube
Reddit or like YouTube. I think I found it on Reddit when I watched it last. But
Yeah.
I was at a bachelor party drunk and I was like, we gotta watch this again, start to finish. We watched it start to finish at like 4 a.m. in the morning. But it's a wild ride. It's insane. He sings the entire time. Beautiful singer. But
And then he just recaps in a monologue.
yeah, it's literally, it starts out, he wakes up and he's trapped in the closet because he's hiding from this girl's boyfriend who comes home. And he's just living
Or
with
it's
her.
a metaphor
It could be.
where he is hiding from all of the
All the criminal
nonsense
things he's
stuff
done,
that
yeah.
he's doing.
Yeah, well, in the closet, you know? Yeah, exactly.
You are 24 years old.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel a little bit sorry for you.
Why is that?
You never got to see Jordan play.
Jordan play?
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you're right. I never did at all.
He's been
actually.
retired since you were born.
Yeah, I think I missed a lot of things in my life being 24. But
All the cool stuff.
yeah, I mean,
Like here's what you missed. You missed being able to be a complete lunatic and then having zero record of it.
and not having social media. I thought about that the other day. You know, I was thinking about it. I was like, I am going to be able to look back at what I did when I was a teenager for the rest of my life.
Right.
When my parents,
And not only you.
Yeah. And it's like an entire generation of people. And like you see it now with like, there's a lot of people that my age are famous now, and all this comes back to them.
Oh yeah.
And it scares the shit out of me, man. Because I'm just like,
I will say.
Yeah.
So you're not Z, right? Are you Z?
I don't know how it works. Gen Z, no, I'm not a
No,
millennial.
you're not a millennial.
My brother's a millennial, but Gen Z, I think Gen Z.
No, I'm X. I'm X. Then it was millennial. Then it's Z.
Then it's Z. Yeah, so I think I'm Gen Z, yeah.
But the kids, like the 18-year-olds now, I think they're starting to realize that what they're going to do is going to live forever.
Yeah.
And the reason that I know that is because there are certain speakers that go to colleges and people who disagree with them will go to argue with them, and they're putting masks on.
It's crazy. I love watching those videos because like you see like the change of that happening where I'm like you can't stand up for what you're saying at all.
No,
it's
and
a record
actually
for
one time there was one video that I saw where the presenter, the speaker said, you know, can I see your face? Do you want to see your face? And then the kid, he had to have been 18, 19.
Yeah.
He said no. I'm going to cover my face because, you know, I'm concerned about future employment.
Scary, man. It is
like,
very, very scary.
That you are a coward. You're a spineless prick.
If you're gonna go there to say something, like at least back yourself up.
Hey,
with who you are as a person,
be a man.
Yeah, just be about it. You know, be about what your words are saying. And
Exactly.
I think about that a lot too, because like when I was a teenager, and prior to that is when the whole idea of having a Snapchat or Instagram or like social media in general became a thing.
Yeah.
So we were the first generation to learn how to use those things. And then it just like, now we're like starting to get the effects of it. Cause I see it affecting my friends, like with employment and stuff. It's like, hey, you know, like this, we found this. And it's like, you can't explain that. Sorry. Like it scares me a lot, man. Like it's, yeah, but
you know, this is the privilege that I have.
Yeah.
All of the nonsense that I did.
Yeah.
No one will ever know.
Exactly.
No one will ever
born in the
know.
right generation there. Yeah.
And you know, yeah. I mean, I'm 40. I'm 45.
Yeah.
So I'm able to get the benefit of all of this technology without, you know, but then understanding the weight on how to use it.
Yeah, it's a responsibility for people, and that's where you see a lot of people get in trouble because they think they're really like, oh, it's no big deal, it's just out there for people to see. Like it's one thing.
I want you to try this one, but you still have stuff there. Okay, now I'm sort of pushing.
Oh, you're good, man.
Here, I'll hand it to you. So we haven't spoken about wine at all, but this cloud lift is from our friend Tom. He gets his grapes from Western Washington, but makes the wine in Georgetown.
The Wallach Slope. We use Wallach Slope too as well.
Yeah, I really like Tom.
Nice.
He's a master woodworker, and actually the word cloud lift is a type of furniture build. It's like a furniture building accent. And he's shown us like all of the examples of what cloud lift is. So like if you see anything that is straight and then it curves up and then it comes down like this, like a little arch, like that's called the cloud lift.
Okay.
And I've had the pleasure of helping him clean his winemaking equipment. Have you done any of that stuff yet?
I have
like
helped
hands-on
out.
production?
I've helped out a couple times with those things.
It's a lot of work.
The production stuff of it, I have so much respect for that because like our winemaker Gilles, he's in the winery making wine 24/7 from once like October to the end of the year. Like the harvest is insane to me. I can never do that stuff.
Where does it get made?
Walla Walla.
In Walla Walla.
Yeah. All my has wines is made over there in Walla Walla too as well. And they just have so much passion for it too. Like the way that he talks about it, it's like he's talking about his child.
Oh
you know?
yeah.
Like he talks about like it's his own child. And it's really admirable that way that I see it. But
so this is his Merlot. I drank all of the Malbec and I drank all of the Cab.
It's like a peppery. Oh, I like that. Say something
You're a
else.
fan of pepper?
I love it. This is good. I like this for a Merlot. This is nice. I like how it's like a lighter side, but it kind of hits you in the face with like the peppery and the earthy like taste of it. I like that a lot.
It's good. So he makes, I don't know, he makes maybe 10 different varietals.
Okay.
They're all solid. I will say that I am the cliche wine drinker where I did not drink my first glass of wine until I was dating Lori.
Yep.
When I was 24.
Yep.
Before that, I was rum and Coke were my friend.
Yeah.
I only drank rum and Coke.
I was gin and tonic guy myself. Yeah.
That was too fancy.
Yeah. Really?
I didn't know what gin was.
Yeah.
I went to bars. All I drank was rum and Coke. I had tequila at home. That's all I drank. Never had a wine ever. And then when I started dating Lori, and then I moved out here, she's always been into wine, and she was into a lot of the whites. So she, like, here's a Riesling, and I was like, oh, this is delicious.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so sweet.
You always start with the white wines that are sweeter, and then like slowly you're like, I kind of like it a little bit more, and then you kind of dip.
And then I
toes a
went to the
little bit,
Gewürztraminer, which is a little bit drier, but still super sweet. And I drank Gewürztraminer for a really long time.
Yeah.
It's like, that was my go-to. And then I think for a really long time now, I cannot drink any white at all. So at Nine Hats, when they do the events and they give you the white first.
Yep, the white first, yeah.
I just pour it right into Lori's glass. I don't drink it at all.
I don't blame you, man. I used to be the same way too. I started drinking wine when I was in college during COVID. And
see, that's another, like, that's like this whole, that's like
I was a
another
bartender, right?
conversation.
And it was during COVID. I started talking to my lady at the time. And well, not at the time, she's still my lady now. We've been together for like 3.5 years, but she was a wine major while we were at Central Washington University. And I had no idea about like the world of wine and whatnot.
She's a wine major.
Wine major. She has
like
a
to
degree
make
in
wine.
It's world wine studies. So she knows about like the different regions in the world, like things like that. That was her major there.
But like, what's her end goal?
So right now she is a wine rep for Unique Wines, which is an Italian wine distributor in Washington State. So her end goal, don't know yet.
Like sommelier.
Yeah, we're still living life. We're not too worried about it. But during COVID, we were trapped inside. Well, we had started talking right before COVID started. And then when COVID started, I was like, we might as well just hang out for 3 months straight until it's over.
Oh,
and
so
then
I've heard about these couples.
We are a couple 100%.
That
and
is
then
funny.
At the end of COVID, we were like, we might as well just date. And they were like, all right. So we've been together for 3.5 years now.
Who said that? Who uttered that word? We might as well.
It was funny though, because she had asked me the question, like, are we gonna end up dating? And I was like, oh, I thought we already were. Right? That's literally what I said to her. That's why we've been together for 3.5 years. I was like, oh, I kind of just assumed we already were, because I've been sleeping at your house for 3.5 months. I was like, yeah. And so during COVID, we bonded over Harry Potter and wine. And I learned all about wine. I taught her all about Harry Potter. We watched all the movies together and everything. And that's how we fell in love. That's just how it went. And then ever since then, I've been so into wine. And then I was a bar manager prior to that. And then I had met our retail sales rep for Nine Hats Wines at my old job.
Okay.
And I got him really drunk at the bar. I was making him a bunch of martinis and whatnot. They're having a blast. And then he was like, man, like you're really good at this. I was like, oh man, I really appreciate it. It's like 1 a.m. And he's like, we need a guy over at Nine Hats if you want to be that person. And I was like, oh, well, I
And when was this?
This was 2 years ago when I just graduated college.
Okay.
At that point. And then with COVID and everything, I didn't know what I was going to do after college, because I had lost like a lot of motivation for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Originally.
And what was that?
So I was
ballet studies,
pre-med bio. Actually, I was pre-med bio. The big biology guy when I was in college, and with COVID, my graduation was a Zoom. It was on Zoom, and it was just one picture of my face that popped up, and I was like, "All right."
Do you feel gypped?
Yeah, 100%. I was at work. I was at work when I graduated high school, and then I was like, "Oh, cool." And they're like, "Hey, Jane, your food's up." I'm like, "All right, let me run it real quick." And then that was it. That was literally it. And so I had lost a lot of passion for learning at that point, and I was really gifted with.
But what? So you lost a lot of passion for learning. Mm-hmm. Was it because of the distance and because of how they structured it around COVID?
So I would say over at Central, I'd spent 3 years in like labs, hands-on.
Oh, hold
like,
on. You graduated from Central?
Yeah, Central. Yeah, Central.
Does Lori know that?
No, she doesn't. Did she go there too?
I think so. Is it Ellensburg?
Ellensburg, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
She
really?
graduated from Central.
Yeah, I graduated there too myself. Yeah.
Okay.
But I had spent like 3 years hands-on learning all about the natural world, doing all these amazing things, you know, going on field trips for like these crazy classes, all these things. And then when COVID happened, our teachers who were lot older, they were, you know, respect to them for trying their best. But
I know,
like,
they
had to do Zoom
aptitude.
while I'm learning like organic chemistry over Zoom. It's not doable, man.
No.
It's not doable. And so my whole GPA dropped like an entire point at that point. I was like really, really good student. I was A plus, and I dropped down like a 3.0 average. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna graduate and just figure something out, call it good. I got into bartending through my friend Chad, you know, and like he really helped me out with those things, and I got really good at that. And then it turned into one day I just met Matt Wallen at our work, and he offered me that job at Nine Hats, and I got more into wine than I already was through Mackenzie, my girlfriend. Oh, so it just like it.
So here she is doing a whole degree for wine, and but you're actually in the industry now.
Man, I feel a lot of guilt for that to this day. That I would just it was. I don't know if I was deserving of the position I'm in now, but I made the best of it. So I've done a good job with it. But it was handed to me. I got very lucky. I will say.
As a biologist, like, what did you want to do?
So I wanted to be a geneticist for families originally. So that was
DNA
like
studies.
Yeah. So karyotyping for pregnant women was the main thing I wanted to do. That was a huge thing I wanted to do there. Nursing was like a backup plan that I had, but after COVID, I just like my mind was everywhere, and I just didn't know what I wanted to end up doing. So I got this great opportunity to be here, and I absolutely love this job. So
you know, if I were braver, and I will admit, and actually my friend Phil he'll find this interesting. If I were braver, I want to do a series of shows that highlight people who were extremely negatively affected by not by the shutdowns that happened.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a whole, I was uber negatively affected by shutdowns because I'm trying to figure out how to say this in the most friendliest of ways. Not even friendliest of ways. But I'm one of those people who had to see their family members from outside.
Right.
That my family members were in the hospital, and then I had to be outside because they wouldn't let us in.
Yeah.
I had to do it. I had to do it twice in 1 month.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
And there was no reason for it.
Yeah.
Zero reason for it. And then I remember talking to, so it was my mom and my dad, separately. But with my mom, I remember talking to the doctor, and then I distinctively remember the look of pain on this doctor's face to just say, I can't let you.
Yep.
I can't let you go in there.
Yeah, man.
And then I said, I will sign whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll take all the tests you want to do. Yeah.
And they felt so strongly about this that a year after, that part ended, they sent me a letter, and then they, gave me a little update. They gave me a little, like, your mom was great.
Were your parents sick at the time?
Yeah, they were very ill.
Right.
And then when they got COVID, it was horrible.
It's made it worse for them. Yeah. Same happened to my grandparents too. They caught COVID and it just hit them like a train.
Yeah. But not to make light of this, but this was the group of people that really got hit.
Right.
Which were my parents. But at the same time, the shutdowns and the strict things negatively affected me, because now I have to live with the fact that they were both alone.
Yeah. And that's the hardest thing for some people too as well. You know,
that's a tough part. And then,
Yeah.
and that's just, I mean, this is a big thing with like people like me, and there's plenty. And I've heard rumors where people who are on my boat want to file class action lawsuits against Illinois, against the state for what they did. But I mean, there's no.
I feel like
it doesn't matter.
A lot of places with their hands were tied with what the
They
regulations
just, it wasn't
were.
them.
I know
mean,
for me, I experienced it firsthand because I was hospitalized on and off for about like a month and a half to 2 months during COVID.
Oh, really?
Because so I had appendicitis and it turned into like really bad sepsis.
Oh.
And it spread to like all my organs and stuff. So it
How
was.
long did you wait?
Was that?
How long did you wait?
Yeah, so I'm very prideful, so I hate the hospital, so I just won't go. I waited probably about like 3 or 4 weeks with appendicitis when I was working with like I could barely stand up straight, like pin pain, nauseous, you know.
I waited 2 weeks.
Yeah, mine was about 3.5 weeks, and I worked my old job throughout the holidays, and then one day I woke up and I woke up like 3 a.m.
That is insane.
Yeah.
We have now this to bond over.
Exactly, man.
I did the exact same
just
thing.
too prideful. Just too prideful is what it is, honestly. But then again, I was like, I don't want to.
How many times did you say, how many times when you felt horrible and there was probably people who loved you telling you you need to do this, how many times did you say, just give me a second?
I would be like green in the face.
I just
like,
need to breathe.
Yeah, I would be green in the face and like at work, and then people come and be like, "Hey man, are you good? Like you want to take a second?" I'm like, "No, man. I shouldn't breathe for a second. I'm good. I should go outside." And then, it was one morning I had woke up at like 3 a.m. I wake up my girlfriend up. I'm like, "Kenzie," I'm like angry at this point when I wake up. I'm like, "Kenzie, we're going to the hospital, but I'm driving." And she goes, "What?" I'm like, "We're going right now to the hospital, and I'm gonna be the one to drive." So I drive there, and I'm like eyes like rolling back, like not safe whatsoever. We get there to the hospital. It's over in Ellensburg. Horrible hospital in Ellensburg, by the way. KVH, don't ever go there. I go there. I immediately get out of the car and I vomit everywhere.
Okay.
And we go in and I'm like, "Hey, something's wrong right now. I need to see something right now." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, sure thing. Sounds good." So I go in. Doctor immediately is like, "Dude, you have like severe appendicitis. Like it's inflated. It's like 4 times the size." I'm surprised.
Oh, it didn't burst?
I got so lucky, but it was inflated to a bigger point than they've ever seen in their life. Like it was inflated.
Okay, then I got you beat.
Okay, but it gets worse though. I had like a random surgery with this doctor who looked like he didn't give a shit about me at this point, right? He gave me the surgery. I went to bed at about 8 p.m. when they put me to sleep for the surgery. I wake up at 9 p.m., right?
Yeah.
And they immediately say, "All right, you're all good to go." I go, "What do you mean? Like there's no antibiotics, anything like that?" "Not at all." I'm like, No, you're fine. You're fine.
But you had surgery for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Over the course of like maybe an hour or two, like it was when I was asleep to when I was awake, was like an hour or two went by. So they immediately sent me home. This was like,
You need to fill this up.
I got you. This is like really deep into COVID. And so I'm like, okay. So me and my girlfriend both were like very skeptical. We're like, why would they send you home like that? This doesn't make any sense.
So same day surgery.
Yes. And
Outpatient surgery.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go home immediately after the surgery. An hour after I wake up from the anesthesia, they sent me home. No antibiotics, nothing, just raw dogged it, went straight home. 3 or 4 days went by and I just get sicker and sicker and sicker. And my skin's changing color, like I'm weak, I can't stand up, I'm nauseous, I can't eat anything, can't drink water. And then I go back to the same hospital. I'm like, "Hey, you guys messed up." They're like, "Yeah, so it seems that like we like ruptured on accident in your surgery and there's a lot of bile in like your innards and whatnot." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like this is happening?" Like this.
So they nicked it when they went in there,
Yeah.
and they left bile in there.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was the whole start of the whole journey with sepsis at this point, where you're infected and it's in my bloodstream. All these things are happening. And I was in the hospital. This is peak COVID for like a week and a half at this point, and I was alone in a room for a week and a half.
I know. Your girl couldn't even go in there.
They didn't let me eat a single piece of food for a week and a half. It was just water and chewing on ice and an IV, right?
Well, you know what? To tell you the truth, you wouldn't have wanted to eat.
Man, I'm telling you, man, like hunger, I'm telling you, will change your mind about the entire world. Like there's nothing more.
But you should have had an
mind-changing.
IV.
I had IV the entire time. Yeah, I had IV the entire time, nonstop. And then they gave me a button that had an IV attached to it. It was
For morphine.
Dilaudid.
Okay.
Morphine, I didn't like at all. Like I had like a weird like headache reaction to it, so I just didn't take it. I took the Dilaudid though. That I will tell you with the Dilaudid, man. I get why people live under bridges, because that stuff right there. Like I would tell you, like I would just click that button and just nod off at that point. Like it was great in that sense, but like the hunger part of it for that long, I just could not live with. Like I was having hallucinations because the sepsis is spread in my brain too. So I had sepsis in my brain, sepsis in my lungs, everything. And I'm sitting there like for, there was no food whatsoever. It was the food part got me too. I was like, I need like 1 calorie. I need something. Like I was having all these crazy thoughts in my head. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I can't see my family. I would see one nurse like every 3 hours. Yeah. One person I can talk to. Drove me absolutely insane.
I can see how the isolation.
Yeah,
I can understand how the isolation would make that even worse.
It literally, like, I can say now, like, I was not the same person I was during that experience. And then after I got out of the hospital there, I went back home for Christmas in Seattle. And on Christmas Day, I just was standing there in my kitchen with my parents, and I just fell to the ground and passed out. And my mom was like, all right, we're going back to the hospital. I went to the hospital in Burien. They immediately were like, yeah, so the doctors who did this surgery for you.
So this is the third
hospital
experience.
Yeah, it was up in Burien. And the doctors there immediately were like, yeah, the doctors there didn't know what they were doing. Like, this is botched. This is horrible. Like, this is all these things.
So what did the second one do?
The second one, so I had 3 drainage tubes attached to me to drain out all the bile from my innards. And
oh wow! So they did the slow thing for you.
It was like bags full of just like green, brown bile.
So where's your scar?
So I have 3 scars that are right under my belly button. My belly button itself was split open, so there's a scar there too as well. I have a chest tube from at Burien. They gave me a chest tube right up here, so I have 2 here, and then I have a couple on like my right side too as well from the drainage tubes, but. The whole experience, though, the worst part about it was the chest tube. Have you had a chest tube before?
No.
Oh, it is. It's it's a hardcore experience, very metal, So what they do is you have to be awake for it when they do it, and the doctor makes a small incision right in between your ribs, and he sticks his pinky in between your ribs there, and he feels on top of your lung, and he slits your lung, and he puts a tube inside of it. It's all while you're awake too. So I'm watching this happen to me. And it drains all the liquid out of your lungs. Like, that's pretty much what it does. And it was the worst pain I've experienced my entire life.
Well, in the TV shows, they just jam a pin in there.
Oh, no. His finger was moving inside of my ribs and as I was watching.
So it felt a bit gnarly?
Yeah. It was the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life. But, yeah, survived that, though. But, that was COVID for me.
Oh, man.
That was COVID for me,
I was gonna say a couple times during your story, I was gonna say I got you beat, but I really don't think I got you beat because of the whole isolation thing. I can during my experience, I was still able to have family to come in and but the short story for mine was, and I remember it as if it were yesterday. It was a Thursday at 11:45 p.m. because I was working second shift.
Yeah.
I felt like someone hit me in the stomach with the bat. The air just went completely out of me. I buckled down. And then I'm like, whoa, what was that? But I blamed it on eating some whack salmon.
That's what I did too. Yeah. I blamed it on something. Yeah.
I blamed it on something that I had eaten. And then I'm like, all right. I got up, I shook it off. And I remember I felt okay for the rest of the shift because I didn't get off until 3 a.m, I believe. Yeah. And then I felt progressively worse, no appetite, and then started throwing up. And then on the sixth day, the sixth day, I started throwing up. And then what I was throwing up was making my whole face numb.
Yeah, the bile and stuff. Yeah, it reacts to you.
And then my ex-wife at the time, she kept on telling me, let's go to the doctor. And I kept on saying, no, I'm fine. Just give me a second. I just need to breathe.
Yeah.
And she called my mom. My mom came. This is in February in Chicago. So mega snow.
Yeah.
My mom came, took one look at me and says, we're going to the doctor. So we went to the urgent care.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the hospital. It was just the clinic, the urgent care.
Yeah.
So I went to the urgent care. I must have not looked bad because they said, go sit down. They called me in a few minutes later. The doctor poked around on my belly. And then once he got to the right side,
yeah, exactly,
I yelped.
Yeah.
And then he still kept on poking around. And you know what he told me? He goes, you have an ulcer. So
Yeah.
he's like, you're fine. You just have an ulcer. He prescribed Prilosec,
Prilosec, OCT, yeah, Prilosec.
He prescribed that. He goes, here, take this. It'll clear up. I'm like, all right. So that satisfied everyone. It satisfied my mom. It satisfied my ex-wife. Went back home, and I'm still going to work at this time.
Yeah.
I'm still the machinist at this point.
Yeah.
So that was day 6. Like 2 or 3 days later, I'm not eating at all. I'm still throwing up that stuff that is making me
Face
numb. And then I just cannot get out of bed.
Yeah.
On like day 9. And then my wife again says, you need to go. My ex-wife, she's like, you need to go to the hospital again. And I'm like, I'm not going. It's like, I'm taking another pill. It's like, took another pill. It's like, I'll just give me a second. So then she did the same thing again. She called my mom. Then my mom came. They took me to the same urgent care. But this time, when they took one look at me,
they just knew right away. Yeah.
They said, you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And luckily, the hospital was a few blocks away. It was really close. So they took me to the hospital, my poor parents. They took me to the hospital. They took my temperature right away, and it was off the charts.
Yeah.
So I didn't check in. Like, they checked in for me. Within 10 minutes, I'm in an MRI machine.
Yep.
They're doing an MRI of my whole thing. And then 10 minutes after that, I'm in surgery.
Yeah.
And then they told me that my appendix had burst.
Oh, yours actually bursted.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my appendix had burst 9 days prior.
Oh, you just I think you got me beat there in that sense, because mine was at burst. Yeah, I was just working, dogging it out. But
my appendix had been burst for 9 days. And so basically what they did, I have a huge scar from just above my belly button.
You have the zipper scar?
All the way down to my pubic bone.
I almost got that, but then I had the chest tubes to fix that. So yeah, you got worse.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like, for me, the doctor once, so they put me in surgery. I went in surgery. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they cut me wide open, and I've cried in my adult life maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
The first time was after my surgery. I had to sneeze. But they cut me open and they cut my diaphragm.
Yeah. So
I was completely cut open, and then they put on my hospital bed, they put a little brace where they told me, if you need to move, you need to not use your core.
Yeah, you have to pull yourself up.
You need to use your arms.
Yeah, they taught me that too.
And then I remember something had happened, and I just needed to sneeze, and I'm like, I need to sneeze, and it's like, don't sneeze, like don't. And then I sneezed, and then the pain that I felt, I cried.
You can't explain what the pain is.
It hurts so bad.
It's the worst thing ever.
It hurt so bad.
For me, when I was there, after I got my chest tube in, I was bawling my eyes out the whole time. I was like, begging him. I was like, stop. He's like, no, you're fine. And they just kept giving me more and more. And then the one moment I can remember, the worst experience of that entire thing, was when after I got the chest tube and we went back to the room, a guy comes in. He's like, hey, we got to do x-rays now. And I go, okay, that's fine, but I can't get up. I was like, I can't lean up. I can't use my core. And he's like, no, we're gonna have to. So we're gonna figure it out.
Oh my goodness!
And he's all happy.
Is this whack hospital that you said?
This was the one in Burien. So they knew what they were doing. Oh. This was in Ellensburg, and they knew what they were doing here in Burien. But this guy's like, hey man, like I'm sorry to tell you this, but we got to do x-rays right now. And I go, hey, listen, I'm like begging with him, pleading with him. I'm like, I can't get up. I can't use my core. I have to lay here. And he goes, all right. Grabs my shoulder, goes, we're gonna do this together. Pulls me up, and I screamed like a baby, man. I bawled my eyes out. Like, it was the worst pain I've ever experienced. I would never wish it on my worst enemy.
They can
yeah, it was awful. Like, awful experience. Wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it was the worst pain I've ever felt. Was that moment, was when he grabbed me and lifted me up for the x-ray.
Oh my goodness. But what do they want to do an x-ray for? Oh, because of your lungs?
They had to do it after every surgery I got was an x-ray to make sure like nothing was messed up. But it's just protocol. But it was, that was.
So I didn't like morphine either, because
Yeah,
it
I
made
couldn't
me
do it, man.
hallucinate.
Yeah, it made my head hurt like so bad. It made the room just like dim. You know, I would like be laying there, like the morphine would make it so dim and so like dull. Like it was kind of hallucination in the sense that like the lights would turn down.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't get how people get addicted like to morphine and stuff. It was the Dilaudid that got me. The Dilaudid got me because a part that also lasted after the hospital was like a week after. When I ran out of the pills, I was like, okay, yeah, like no big deal. I'm like, it's all over now. And then I got sick. I got like dope sick from it. And I'm like,
they took me off of morphine really quickly. So in my normal life, I don't swear. I'm vulgar in other ways.
Yeah.
But I don't swear. And when I was on morphine, I cussed out nurses. Sailor, huh? And then my family at the time said, you know, he doesn't normally talk like that. Like that's not him. So then I started, I hallucinated 2 interactions where I thought my mom was there and then I thought the nurse was there and then I'm just talking. And then this is all, you know, secondhand that they're telling me that what I did. And then they finally figured out that, you know, morphine wasn't kind to me.
Not for you, yeah.
So they switched it. But after surgery, I was completely out of it for about 3 or 4 days. I just totally lost time. Yeah. And then I came to, and then that's when the sneezing happened where I couldn't move. After everything, the doctor said that everything inside of me was infected and swollen. So they literally had to cut me completely open and then take everything out and then clean me out.
Yep, that's why you get the zipper scar on you. Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, he's like, we cleaned, we took. So like that, I mean, that's a cool horror movie. It's like I'm envisioning them like literally
scrubbing your organs.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they've got their intestine, they've got my intestines in their hands, and like
that's literally like what they do too. They take everything out and they put it on the table next to you, and then they literally like scrub inside of you. Like, it's crazy to think about, and that's one thing like I really wanted to avoid. Which is why I was there for so long. So I had all the tubes and the chest tubes to drain everything out. Because I just said I just don't want to zip the scar.
I'm lying. Yeah. I did have a tube.
You did?
I have a tube on my left side, but not in my lung, just in my belly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just for normal drainage.
Yep.
And I remember them taking that out. And then, did you have a catheter?
I didn't. So the one thing I refused to when I was the entire time there is I don't want anybody else wiping my ass. I don't want anybody's like. I was so against that I was in the most pain, screaming and crying while I was going to take a shit.
People pay for this, you realize.
Dude, I refuse.
There's billionaires. There's a billionaire out there somewhere that is paying some chick in uptown New York, man, 10 grand to wipe his butt.
My pride only goes so far.
You could have gotten it for free.
The one thing I told him when I got there, I was like, hey, no one's wiping my ass for me. I don't care how out of it I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom. I was like, I will scream, I'll cry my way to the bathroom, but no one else is doing it for me. And I kept my word the whole time I did it, and it was the worst pain ever by far. I was eating food, so that made it a little bit easier. But like every time I did it, I was like, all right, this is happening.
I had a catheter.
Really? Ugh. How'd that feel?
You know, I didn't feel it going in, but I felt it coming out. And then it's so funny. Like the nurse, we had been joking a little bit, and the nurse says, okay, because when it was time for me to get this catheter out, I remember the nurse saying, all right, I'm gonna count to 3. Are you ready? I'm like, okay. I'm ready. And then she's like, 1, 2.
Oh my God.
And then yanked that sucker right out.
I said no to all of that. I just said, you know what? Like
it hurt for 2.2 seconds. And then it was fine.
Pride wise, I just said no when I got in there. I'm like, hey guys, I was like, I appreciate all you're doing, but neither of those things are going to be happening to myself. Like that's just the way it's going to be. You know what?
I think that is super awesome that we were able to
bond over that.
Over a stupid appendix.
It is the worst organ in the world is that one. Yeah.
So, and then I know that you have an out here quickly, but I want to. What brought us together for this show?
Soft and quiet, right?
I want you to hear. So I sent a video review to my buddy after I saw this movie, and here I'm looking for it right now. I want you to hear my initial reaction of this soft and quiet movie.
So ready to hear this.
Holy cow! I don't know what this one is. Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Okay, I am absolutely.
Okay, this is it.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
So this is after this movie was over. I sent this video to my buddy. So this is my initial reaction.
Okay, I am absolutely infuriated.
Can you hear that?
I am 100% positive that.
Wait, hold on.
All of your scripts
Hold on.
are better. Absolutely. Okay, I am absolutely infuriated. I am 100% positive that
Get split
all
this.
of your scripts are better than this absolute trash of a movie that I just saw. There was nothing redeeming about it. The writing was atrocious. The acting was abysmal. The story was sickening. Although the cinematography was all right, but it didn't make any sense because at some times you thought it was just a regular movie, but at other times you thought that it was a POV movie. So they'd switch between back and forth, which sort of confused me. The sound was whack. I am so angry. We need, this is an indication that you've got something. We just need to grab it and then do something with it.
See, you weren't a fan is what I'm getting from this.
I will show you the graphic that I made. You know what? I'm going to show you the first graphic that I made.
Okay. What do you like about it?
This is the first graphic that I made.
Wow. Okay. Spicy. All right. That's how you feel. Respectable.
And then I had to edit it.
Yeah. All right. That's conviction.
But I haven't posted this yet.
All right. Fair enough.
I have not posted this yet.
What do you like about it?
Nothing.
What really rubs you wrong? Starting off.
It was, and I've had conversations about this movie, and actually,
You're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm
Are you
positive.
sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm intrigued now, so I'm staying late. You're good.
I told my buddy, it's like, I'm going to have Jaidan on. I'm going to talk about this movie. And he's like, is he going to like you after this?
Of course.
And it's like, I think so, because we're just talking about
art,
a movie.
man. It's art.
It's like, he didn't make this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't his. Like, it should be fine. No, I thought that I had prejudices as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I had prejudices about the writing. And then once it was over and then I realized who wrote it, they were completely true. And the first one was the writer chose to make super strong statements about the easiest targets.
Okay.
Targets that she knew that would not really make any sort of headline, would not really do anything to retaliate or to protest.
Yeah.
And then having said that, if you think back a little bit, Netflix for a second had a Brazilian show about how Jesus was gay.
Really?
Do you remember this?
No. I had no idea about that.
It was only on for you. They put it on there. It was a Brazilian
sure they got some
filmmaker.
flack from that, yeah.
Yeah. They took it off right away.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a hard target.
Yeah.
They also had this other show about dating naked people that they also got dinged for.
I think I do remember that one. What was it called? Do you remember what it's called?
I don't remember what it was.
I remember
called.
watching that though.
It was my buddy was telling me about it. It's like, oh, it's on Netflix. They got dinged on it.
Yeah.
They let it go. Everyone who is attacked in this movie is in no danger of Netflix saying, we're not going to show this anymore.
Yeah.
And those are soft targets.
Okay.
That is the easiest thing for this writer to have done. But I had issues early on. And then I was talking to my buddy. So the first scene,
Yes.
it's outside the school right? So it's a long shot.
Yeah, and it starts like slowly going in to her
Slowly.
talking to the kid. Yeah.
But what really, my poor wife, I kept on pausing it.
Yeah.
I kept on pausing it every time something happened that annoyed me.
I do the same thing. I do
And
the same thing.
2 minutes in, I'm pausing it and then telling her, well, anyway. So it's the very first shot is outside the school, but parallel to the school. So you see a kid coming out, and then you see a kid coming out, and then you see the cleaning lady come, and then you see the main actress walk towards it. But first of all, it's outside. You see bushes and there's trees and they're moving.
Yeah.
You don't hear any of that.
It's lower budget too. I just want to say that.
Well, this isn't about budget.
Yeah. This is about okay.
I mean, getting sound effects of
Yeah.
bushes rustling and trees swaying and wind is free.
Yeah.
You don't hear any of that, but you hear her footsteps.
Yeah.
And you hear the kid's footsteps that are about 50 feet away. And you hear his book pack, you hear him shuffling.
Yeah.
And then when you hear them talk, it is as if they are right in front of the camera, even though it's a semi-long shot. That bugged me.
Right.
That didn't make any, that was discombobulating.
Rough
to
start
me.
to that. Okay. Gotcha.
It's like there needed to have been some sound effects of the wind. Their dialogue should not have been up front.
Just the entire big start of it was the dialogue. That's what you didn't like.
It just threw me off right away. So that's like for starters.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like that main girl from the beginning. I thought that she
sucked. Like in my opinion, I didn't like the actor. Like she's probably the worst actor in the whole movie. That worst actor was her. The reason why I ended up liking the movie so much was because at the end I was rooting for her, and I was like, like that's the part that got me the most. But all right, we'll get
so that was over, and then I thought, why is she walking? It's like it didn't make sense that she was walking to wherever she was going from wherever she was. Everything was close together.
Yeah,
I mean, but I get it. They wanted to do this whole one take thing. So okay, fine. And then when she put that Nazi pie on there, I if I hadn't committed more than 6 minutes to it, no, I did not like it. I did not like it at all. And then what was written on the whiteboard? Like
so it was
the daughters of the Aryans or something.
The daughters of the Aryan race, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the pie scene, honestly, because the reason why is because when I read the description when we were just watching what movie to watch, we saw the description. The description that says anything about the movie, what it's about. You didn't know what the movie was about until that pie came out.
I need to read that description again because
there's nothing about the movie at all when you read it. Yeah.
The reason that I'm slightly questioning it is that the people who I shared my reviews with, they said I'd read the review and it sounds horrible.
Okay.
So, but I didn't read the descrition. I saw this movie completely 100% on Jaidan.
Did say it was good?
Well, no, you didn't say it was good.
Yeah.
You never said it was good. You just said you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Which I took as, okay, I mean, it makes you think. And then this is where the whole art conversation comes in, right? It's like, he might have told me this because it is atrocious. Did he say this because he thought it was good? And it's like, I need to know why. So that this is,
I enjoy movies like that where it's like, it's up for interpretation, but at the same point, I don't know if I said it before, but like I compare it to like a Jordan Peele film where like you walk into it with one thought in your head and it's completely like just whole left field the entire thing.
Yeah.
When I started watching the movie, I was like, what the hell is this about? Like, I have no idea. And the pie scene, like, which is why I like the pie scene, because then I started to understand, like, oh, I'm like, this is crazy. But then the concept of the movie that I liked more than the movie itself was that, like, these are our neighbors. Like, this is.
But hold on. I'll pause you there for a second. When she put the pie down, someone objected.
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, why does everyone have to be so offended nowadays? That just didn't make any sense.
So the thing about this, though, is like, in today's society, when people who are just like nonchalantly racist, they don't think anything's wrong with it. When you put a Nazi sign in front of them, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, like that's wrong because that's what you're taught, though." But,
Okay,
right? She was the only one who was about it, though.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
that would be true if I'm trying to remember what was written on the whiteboard because
I can't remember.
No one wrote on that whiteboard between that scene, between the beginning. No one wrote on the whiteboard between the beginning of the scene and then when the pie went down.
Yeah.
So that was already up there. So there was already something written on the whiteboard that said, what was it?
The daughters of the Aryans.
I think it was the daughters of the Aryans.
Yeah.
So if you're one of 6 women who come into a small chapel, it's a church, right? And you're going on the second floor of the small church, and there's a whiteboard, and it says "Daughters of the Aryans." Do you really think that someone's going to object if someone puts a pie down that has a Nazi?
That's the thing, man. I don't think racists are that smart. I don't think racist folks are that smart. And like that's the whole thing. Like in the movie, you also realize too, the only 2 people who object to anything are the 2 men in the movie. One was the pastor who immediately he goes, "Hey, like this is a little bit too much. I didn't know this was happening here." And then 2 was her husband, who was like, when it got to that point, he was like, "Hey, I'm out." And he leaves.
Right. And I have thoughts about that too.
Yeah.
I also think that those are the 2 weakest characters.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm trying hard not to make this a female male thing. But it is so obvious that this is a female written script.
100%. That was my thought too. Honestly, when I watched it too, I was like, like these women are the only ones that are intrigued by this, but like the men in the movie were the only smart ones, if you think about it. And then like
I wouldn't even say they're just weak.
They both saw the situation that was happening and immediately pulled themselves from it. They were like, I don't. Not
the husband,
not the second guy, but the first guy though. Like immediately when he goes, "Hey, I think
we never saw him again."
Yeah, because he knew right away not to do it. And then the second guy, the husband, I can't remember. He left after the part where they started hurting the first girl, right? Is that what it was? Speak your mind, man. Speak your mind.
No, I just, I think that the writer chose. I believe, if I were to interview that writer, I would say, "What type of statement do you feel you made?" And then she'll probably say, "Oh, racism and
yeah,"
blah, 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 blah. And I would say, "Okay." And then I said, "But you do realize that if you look at what exactly is happening, what you wrote is not what is happening."
Yeah, I see that. Okay,
it is not what is happening. And then I'll even say, currently, and I don't know when this was written. I mean, it could have been...
It's like 2016, I think. 2016, 2017 was when it was
okay. Yeah. All right. So it's like 2016. Everyone's focused on Trump.
Yeah.
Everyone's focused on what he is saying. But, I mean, even then, even 2016, there's tons of Asian... I mean, the Asians have had it pretty bad for a few years now. Jewish people have also had it pretty bad for a while now. It's like there's all these other groups. It's like you are choosing.
Yeah.
It's like if you really felt like you needed to make a statement, then you couldn't have chosen the most cliche, obvious.
So in the scene where they were talking in the beginning, like the first like group talk, you don't like they were addressing like a lot of like, the blacks and like
they didn't.
But I thought like
no,
I thought they were addressing like their own problems and like their lives, what was going on.
They maybe said blacks. They said brown.
Yeah.
And then they said Colombian. They didn't. And then because I remember turning to Lori and say, "This is like the cheapest thing ever."
Okay.
Because she didn't actually use slang until like a couple scenes later.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the characters did say full R on the N-word.
Yeah.
But, and then not to diminish the word and the impact that the writer thought that it made, but it was kind of like a passing. because she was saying it and then she
Yeah.
turned.
So in that sense, though, like the women in this movie, they all like were established women in their community in the sense because like they were educated women. Well, I mean, most of them were, besides like the one that was like extra deck or whatnot. But like they were all established women who were like trying to be like really professional,
Proper.
Yeah. And which is like I feel like that also is why they weren't like as aggressive as you would assume them to be in that sense. Which is why they were having this meeting in the first place in secret.
Yeah.
But that's just the way that I saw it. But
It's so, I mean, fair enough.
yeah.
I understand that. Then the next biggest problem is that is just not how women behave after the fact.
Yeah.
So women, when they lash out, they lash out in character destruction and innuendo, which we all know that.
I see that. Yeah.
Right. When men get attacked, we want to hit something.
Yeah.
We
it's
want
more
to
progressive
attack
state,
something.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So that's why action is action. That is why there's fight scenes.
Yeah.
So I really have a hard time in seeing things when they portray people doing things that is just not how they behave.
I see that.
It is like these 5 women, even if it were mom mentality, they wouldn't. It's just so far beyond. Like I have an easier time believing that Thanos is going to snap his fingers to destroy half of the universe than I am to believe that these 5 women who are baking cakes and cupcakes and then in secret, right?
This little Nazi club. Yeah.
In secret doing this little racist group to then think that they are going to start an altercation in a grocery store and then bring in one of their husbands and this schmuck of a man isn't going to tell them to all just settle down and go home, but
that is true. That is true.
And then to follow them up and then to invade this woman's house.
So I think like on that point there, like, so another aspect of the movie was like their ego of all the women who just met each other, right? They all just met each other and they all wanted to be like the big dog, right? And the main girl who had the whole meeting set up, her brother was a rapist of one of the girls outside. That I don't know if you call that
allegedly,
too. Yeah, that was allegedly the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And so,
but sorry to interrupt, but I also have a problem with the brown women who were in the grocery store. Yeah, that just would not have happened.
Not once. Yeah, that scene I will give you that just wouldn't have happened that way.
It's like I'm gonna pay you $300 for this bottle of cheapo Chardonnay,
and then she was okay with it.
And then she's like, okay.
Anybody who's an adult would just say no and walk out, and they would just immediately walk out. Yeah.
I mean, that was the reason that they did that was because then they needed to have a segue to say, oh, you have cash, so that means that you're XYZ.
I thought though that like the reason why the movie escalated so much to what it was because they all wanted to impress each other. It's like all these women who didn't know each other,
peer pressure,
wanted to impress each other in that sense, which is why they're all acting like way out of turn in the entire movie. Because you watch it happen, like right when that scene happens when they go to the store, there's the one woman who's a mom who has to leave. She goes, "Oh, my kids, I have to go." She's like, "Okay, yeah, I have to go." And the rest of them like slowly start to get like more and more like what they think, and they try to like one up each other the whole time. Yeah, the whole movie was just them one upping each other if you think about it. And like that's like why it's a part of the reason why it escalated hard.
Didn't they try to revive this woman with the EpiPen?
Because they realized how like what was going actually
the EpiPen was right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they did. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
That is what turned that is what Lori like Lori does not share my thoughts on almost anything. We view things very, very differently.
Yeah. The way it should be. Yeah.
But when they needed to give that woman that woman the EpiPen, and then she's like, the EpiPen is right there. It is right there. And then they're not doing it.
My thought too was a big plot hole. The main character was a teacher. and she didn't think about it right away. I'm like, you're a teacher. You're trained to do that in your job.
Yeah.
You should have been immediately like, hey, she's reacting to peanuts that were forcing down her throat. Let's give her the EpiPen.
Yeah.
And that never happened. There's quite a bit of plot holes. All in all.
And then the other thing that I didn't like is that there is no way that these two women who were in this house, these two Latin women, there is no way that they would have had that would have been there with no Latin men.
100%. Yeah. In reality, that's not the way the world works at all. That would not happen in the first place.
Who would have had guns?
Yeah, exactly. In United States of America, that would not
You
have
could
happened.
even say that they would have been gangbangers.
Yeah.
Because these were two good-looking women.
Yeah.
They were good-looking women.
They're going to be protected. Yeah.
They would not like that. That's what bugs me. But you know what? I understand why. I mean, I know why the writer did it that way, and I know why they did it because it's just easy.
Yeah.
And it's going to get people like us talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing what they want to see.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, which is the definitely, which is what art should be.
Yeah.
It's like you need to love it or
should be
hate
dialogue to it.
It's like, I'm okay if you hate it. So if I were
Yeah.
to tweet this and say this is the worst movie ever,
Yeah.
they would still like it because then it would get people curious.
And so they're trying to watch it. Yeah, exactly. If you say it's bad.
So fine.
Yeah.
I completely get it.
I'm glad you watched it, though.
I did watch it, and I considered a couple times to bail, but I'm like you, where I don't like to bail.
Yeah, I have to watch it all the way through and through. If I hate it, I hate it. I'll be able to talk about it afterwards, like we are now. But it's just like it's one of those things where
it's just I just really, 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 really strongly, passionately believe that this was the laziest writing and the laziest filmmaking about this subject. Because, I mean, think about other writers and directors who do similar topics. Like, I mean, Spike Lee.
Yeah, love Spike Lee.
I mean, I've been getting tons of clips about Do the Right Thing.
Have you watched his newest one?
The Chirac. No,
Judas and the Black Messiah.
No, I haven't seen that one
No,
yet.
that one is with the Lucas brothers did that one. Judas and the Black Messiah. True story, 100% biopic. Watch that one.
Okay.
It will change your whole opinion on like the United States government whatsoever. But like it's all you have to remember while you watch the movie. All of that is true, start to finish.
Okay.
And when I watched the movie the first time, I cried. Like I literally was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "This is real." That's one of his ones that like he was influenced in that movie himself, but it was amazing. Love that one.
It would be interesting,
Yeah.
like for you and I to have a different conversation about, because you're just a recent college grad. I have very strong opinions about college nowadays.
As do I, after COVID especially. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it took me 6 years to get my undergrad.
Okay.
But I went to an all online school.
Little feedback.
Was that me or you? I don't think anyone can hear it.
No worries.
Oh, interesting. Oh, there we go.
There we go. All clear now.
All right. Yeah, that's like another conversation because my last 4 finals I did in hotel rooms in Brazil, in Mexico, and in Miami, I think, because I was doing all online.
Yeah.
But this was like a super long time ago, and I was traveling a ton for work. And like those were super, super fun times. But it would be interesting to talk about.
Oh man,
When did you graduate from college?
2021. Let's see, 3 years ago. 2021. Either 2021 or 2022. No, 2020 or 2021. I can't remember because it was an online graduation, so I don't have anything to prove. Like,
see, I didn't even.
I think it's 21. Yeah, because I graduated high school in 2017. So then I graduated college when I was 21. Yeah, 21. Graduated 21.
Okay, that'll be an interesting. I wonder if there's any of those. Because I graduated high school in '96, and then I got my degree. I don't remember, but it was mostly online.
Yeah.
DeVry.
Yeah, DeWitt University.
Yeah.
I've heard about it,
Yeah.
of course.
So it's like my first computer, my very first laptop.
That'd be so hard back then to do online school with one of those. Yeah.
Well, so my very, very first laptop. So my wife's dad was he was an electrical engineer, and he used laptops, and he gave me his old laptop.
Yeah.
Which was a Gateway. Do you remember Gateway? You don't even know what Gateway is.
No idea. No.
So Gateway was one of these first. You call them up, tell them what you want, and then they send them to you. The boxes for Gateways look like cows.
I do know what that is, actually. Yes, I do know what that is. Yes.
Yeah. So he gave me his laptop. Didn't have Wi-Fi, so I had to buy a Wi-Fi card because it had a slot in there for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you had to pay for it. Yep.
It was like this thick. It was a 13-inch like this, weight 6 pounds. And I used that laptop for probably 4 years.
Yeah.
I used it for a really long time before I had my own proper laptop.
And the tech back then was like advancing quick, wasn't it? Yeah, it was going quick. So it was, you're always either behind or like just right like up to it. So
luckily, I've always been comfortable with it because I built my first computer.
Oh, really?
When I built that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My computer over here.
Yeah.
I built my first computer 24 years ago. So I've always been comfortable. Like if you put all of the components to a computer on the table, I can put it together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
one thing I always wanted to learn how to do too.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
I game a pretty good amount, and I've always wanted to build like my own PC, but like eventually I'll get into that. But
I can help.
Yeah, please do.
I'm not a mega tech
me your
nerd,
ways. Yeah,
but I know what good processors, good video cards, good motherboards are. Like good, IO is.
Yeah.
I've always been good with that. So yeah, it's like that's what I was using for a super long time. All right, so we've spoken plenty.
I loved it, man.
I think that I have really good clips.
I loved it, man.
Unfortunately, I hated your movie.
You're good, man. No worries. I got plenty more to stress to you too.
But you know what? It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I would.
It is art.
What I would like to say to you is, does your what's your girlfriend's name?
Mackenzie. Funny notes. It's my last name. Yes, everyone thinks it's the first time they hear it. Her first name is Mackenzie, my last name is Mackenzie. She means Mackenzie. Yep. The gears turn in everyone's head when I tell them that. They're like, wait a second. I'm like, yeah, I know. Mackenzie squared.
That'd be kind of cool though.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's like that one guy who sings that song of Phillips. You ever heard of him before? The famous singer-songwriter? Phillips.
No.
That's his legal name is Phillips.
Okay.
It's going to be the same thing as her, Mackenzie. It's going to be great.
I dig it.
It took you that long to get it, huh? I've said her name a couple times during the pod, but
I mean, I had another young kid. He was 24. He's 24 too. His name was Elijah Nichols.
Yeah.
I had him on a few shows ago, and he's a designer, and he designs clothes for people who like EDM.
Okay. Yeah. Like ravers and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an EDM.
Are you a fan of EDM at all?
No.
No, really? Not at all?
Man, we could probably talk about music for like another hour. You're going to be disappointed with my music selection.
I am a music like fanatic, but we'll have another pod sometime for sure, and I'll talk to you about all the music.
You know what? I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to disappoint you from the get-go.
Okay.
I do not like rap.
Really? Not at all?
I like
Tupac. Okay. But you don't like rap like whatsoever? Like just not really a fan of it? Like even like the slower boom bap like poetic side of it at all? Or like just like
no.
Really?
I like the Beastie Boys.
Have you ever watched the NPR Tiny Desk before?
No.
Okay. So before you say you don't like rap, I want you to listen to Action Bronson.
I don't like Action Bronson.
You don't like Action Bronson at all? All right, never mind. You got me then. You got me.
No, I don't like it. Then. I really don't. I like Tupac. I like early Eminem.
Yeah.
I like the Beastie Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I like KRS-One.
Yeah, KRS-One's good.
I like Nas.
Yeah.
And then that's about it. I don't think I like
Yeah.
anyone for the last.
I'll suggest something to you,
15
man.
years.
Like there's music is a spectrum, man. There's a lot that I know if you like those guys and they're like stuff like that, there is stuff today that you would like. It is hard to find nowadays, but you would like it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, but
Just give it a try, you know. It's art.
Nasworthy.
You watch the movie, you listen to the music too.
Have you
know?
listened to Nas?
Of course I have. Yeah. Yes.
Have you
100%.
listened to Wu-Tang?
Yes, Wu-Tang is what I grew up on, 100%. My dad was like diehard fan of Wu-Tang, like his entire childhood in that sense. But like I like word for word can rap the majority of Wu-Tang songs right now for you.
like
I'm
Wu-Tang.
telling you that much. Yeah, I love Wu-Tang to death for sure.
This is what I'm saying. Like I'm an old man. Like all of my records. I'm super into not hip hop.
I love rock. I love indie music too as well. Like probably indie rock is my easily my number 2 for music for sure. I listen to that like very, very frequently too as well. But like EDM and rap are like my 2 top favorites, I'd say.
Yeah, EDM puts me to sleep.
You listen to the right stuff though.
I put EDM in the same category as house music or techno.
So with EDM, there's like 1,000 different genres in EDM.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Yeah, and like house and techno are with those too.
They'll put me right to sleep.
We'd have another pod for music for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
It's like growing up in Chicago, there's tons of DJs. And
that's where house music started with Chicago. House music started
it's like
there.
DJ. There's so many.
You were alive for the start of house music, though. Like you were alive for the start of house music in Chicago.
It's like we're down for the percolator.
Yeah, exactly.
We're down for the percolator, and it's like let's set this roof on fire.
Yeah.
The roof is all fire. Watch this mother effer. Like, yeah, I listened to all that stuff when I was a kid.
You were started that, man.
But I do. Okay, we'll do this and then we'll go.
I got you.
So when I was a youngin, we used to listen to music called freestyle.
Yeah, it's like like freestyle rap or like what?
No, it was. Let's see. Is it this one? Yeah, this one's good enough. No, they were. It was kind of like I would kind of say like this is like the Latin R&B.
Okay.
But it's like stuff like this.
Yeah, this is. It's like the late 80s, like almost house, but not quite house, you know?
But there were these artists who sang these songs, but then there were DJs who would put it all together.
Yep.
So it's like Tim Spin and Shomer.
Yeah.
DJ Too Cool Chris, Nasty Boy Nick. There was like all these DJs who would just put them all up in a thing. And then, man, like 15 and 16-year-old me.
We just love it.
I would go to you would only be able to buy, these were cassettes.
Yeah.
I would only be able to get these cassettes from beeper stores.
Yeah. Just this like exact niche one you have to go to. Yeah.
So I would go get a beeper. Like get all types of fancy pagers, and then at the same time pick up the latest Nasty Boy Nick. Well, anyways, so Jaidan, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, Carlos.
We
Appreciate
drank,
you, man. Yo,
we drank a couple.
We killed it.
I mean, it was mostly me. Agreed.
Gotta do this again sometime for sure, man.
But I loved it, and then I think that these shows are important because it just gives people a little bit more to think about of the stuff that they consume that they probably don't think about.
Be, you know, it doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be bad, but you can talk about it. It's always a big thing, you know.
And that's the thing. It's like neither of us. I mean, we didn't make any of these movies. When we release my movie,
we're gonna love it. We're gonna love it.
That's right.
No bad talk about the movie.
But
sure.
I mean, do you have anything to plug? Do you want people to follow you?
Plug it all. 9 Hots Wines. Come on by. Come see me. Come see me in the tasting room.
I mean, it would be cool if I could get the. It would be cool if I got the winemaker in here.
Oh, we can get Jill in here for sure. He's French though. When he gets drunk, he starts speaking French, so it might be a little hard.
I can hold my own, I think.
Fair enough, man.
I took a little bit of French.
We'll definitely get him in here for you, man.
All right, excellent. Yeah. Well, anyone,
thank you, man.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget about the sponsors, Rancho Bravo, the Sneakers Friend, and then don't forget to follow on your favorite podcasting app, Apple Podcast and Spotify. Those will probably be the biggest ones. And stay tuned. We'll be back with another one soon. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Thank you so much, man.
Adios.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.